Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. We have Macartney Reinhardt. How's it going today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Tom?
I'm doing really well. It was a busy day, but I'm doing good. So that's
That's
all that
good.
matters. Yeah.
I've had a busy day too, so I get it.
Oh, I'm sure you have. With the new release coming out tomorrow, how's that all feeling right now?
Yes, I'm so excited to put it out. It'll be out at midnight, so I'm really, really excited about it.
Nice, nice.
Mhm.
So you're from Atlanta originally, and
I am.
you're in Nashville now?
Yes, I moved to Nashville 2 years ago.
Okay, so
So,
right after the pandemic?
yes, I came up here in 2021 for the first time, and then I started coming back and forth for about a year, and then I moved officially in 2022. So,
Okay. Awesome, awesome.
yeah,
Have you been enjoying the Nashville?
I love Nashville so much. I just feel like there's so many more opportunities. I think Atlanta's so great in the music scene also, but I like Nashville, the music scene better just because of the genre I'm in. I
Mhm.
feel like if I were in rock or pop, that it would be easier possibly in Atlanta, but just because I'm in country, I think Nashville holds so many more opportunities for me.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I think Nashville's kind of breaking away not that it's not the country music capital and all that stuff, but it's also developing its own scenes for like rock, hip hop, and all these things. And it's just becoming the music capital in general.
I agree. I was actually surprised when I first came to town that not everyone at Writers Rounds played country music. That was just what I thought,
Yeah.
but it was actually, I found myself sometimes in the minority playing country music out,
That's
and
it.
I thought that was interesting.
Oh yeah. That definitely is interesting. It's like singer songwriter, I get it, but country, I feel like that was probably like 80% of people, but I guess probably not. So
I would have thought that. And sometimes it depends on where you go,
yeah.
really. But I did notice that some places that I would play, I was a little bit in the minority playing country. So that was something I didn't expect here.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So growing up in Atlanta, did your parents introduce you to country music or just music in general, or how does that kind of come into play?
So I grew up listening to mostly rock because my dad is a bassist. And so I always was raised on like the Beatles, Oasis, Guns N' Roses. Those are like my favorite bands. But when I was about 12, I wanted to join a band. And it happened to be that there were no slots left. It was in like a School of Rock kind
Oh,
of place. And there happened to be no slots left in the rock band. So I chose the country band. And that's how I got into country. I had never really listened to it before that. And then I started listening to it a lot, and I decided that's the genre I wanted to do.
for
So,
sure. That's really
yeah.
cool. When you kind of joined that country band, who were you listening to kind of get that crash course into country music?
I remember the first song I played was Church Bells by Carrie Underwood.
Hmm.
I remember that that was like the first like modern country song I actually sat down and listened to and like actually took in. So I'd heard it on the radio. I mean, if you live in North Georgia, you're going to hear it in Walmart and everywhere. But
Yeah.
I that was probably the first one that I really took in and sat down and analyzed. And so I listened to a lot of Carrie, Maren Morris. I listened to a lot around that time, and probably Miranda Lambert. Those are probably, and like when Taylor was doing
Yeah.
country. So
Yeah.
that's about the artist that kind of made me want to do it
Yeah.
more. So
I I think it's very interesting. Taylor Swift leaves country music, and now country music is like what everybody's trying to get into.
I know it's so funny.
Yeah.
I I was definitely I used to love the pop kind of. It was probably I was 12 in 2018 when I
Mm.
started that band. And so I was really into pop at the time, but then I started just kind of enjoying listening to Carrie Underwood more and Maren Morris. And I still like pop a lot, but I veered away from that a slight bit than where I was initially with that. So,
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. It's one of those things where it's like you're gonna go through ebb and flows of what you listen to. Like I've done the exact same thing where it's like I'm really into punk music, and then now I'm like really into country music. So
yeah,
it's just kind of is what it is. So
yeah. And I think it took me that long to figure out that that is the genre I wanted to do,
nice.
which you would have thought it would have been obvious with my accent, but I I had just always grown up listening to rock, so I didn't know any better, really.
Fair, very fair.
So
Um, and so you started. Did you start releasing music once you went to Nashville for the first time, or had you started before you went to Nashville?
so my first trip up to Nashville was at the end of my freshman year of high school.
Mhm.
I was 14, and I had actually released a song like 2 months prior to that. My first song had come out like not long at all before
Yeah,
that, like March.
yeah.
And then I came up here for the first time in May. So I'd started writing when I was 12, and then I had written that song and put it out in 2021, and then I started coming up here and
Got,
playing.
gotcha. So I'm guessing
So
you recorded it down in like Atlanta in a
I
studio down there.
did. I actually we recorded it in my basement.
Oh wow.
We did the final vocals and everything. Like we had a little vocal booth in our house. And so my dad used to own a studio and he knows how to run like Logic Pro Tools.
Mm.
So we just did it at home because we didn't know where to go, and it was just kind of a trial run being the first song I put out. So yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. So did your dad kind of teach you some like basic production stuff? So once you went into a studio, you kind of knew how to communicate with producers and studio techs and all that?
He did, definitely. Yes. He would be like, "Okay, so he didn't go over it with me a
Yeah.
lot, but I would just pick up on like things he would notice.
Hmm.
He never sat down and would be like, "Here's what you do."
Hmm.
But he would be like, if I was ever recording in a studio, be like, "Can we get a different guitar tone or
Mm.
something?" And
Yeah.
so then I started picking up on like which tones I like, just all different kind of
Yeah.
production things. And so I kind of just caught on to what he was doing
Mm.
and talking about. And then I eventually am able now, like 4 years later, recording, to be able to vocalize it better
Yeah.
because it's hard when you're young and you don't know how to vocalize what you want in the studio.
Yeah.
So he definitely helped out so much with that. And I was so thankful he was there to, kind of convey what I wanted, even though I couldn't vocalize it well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those
So,
things where I think it's one of those skill sets that not a lot of musicians pick up that they need to know. And I'm not saying have like an extensive knowledge of Logic or Pro Tools or any of that stuff, but just knowing like, oh, hey, my voice sounds a little too bassy. Hey, try adding this. Or I think, just kind of being able to communicate with it instead of saying, just like trying to guess what you think is wrong with it.
yes,
So,
definitely. I
but
agree. I think that's a very important thing to when you're finding your sound,
mhm,
because you don't know who you are yet when you
mhm,
start recording in as an artist. And
yeah,
so I think that was really, really important for me to be able to vocalize that
yeah,
and be able to express what styles and tones and instruments I wanted. So I think that was very valuable to have had that.
yeah,
So
absolutely. And especially the first time being your dad, I'm sure he's not charging you anything, so
yes.
it's you're not taking $100 an hour bath, just learning the basics there.
Yeah.
So
So
that's cool.
it's very good. He always helps out with anything, like me, and he plays with me a lot. whenever I need a bassist. And
Hmm.
so I'm so thankful that he has all the knowledge he does and is so supportive of everything in music. He just gets it.
Hmm.
So, and my mom does too, but she doesn't play any instruments, and she knows a lot more now since I've been in music, but he's always known how to do things production wise and instrumentally. So
Hmm.
I'm very thankful to have that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So leading up to today, you've got Bones, your new single. Uh,
Yes.
what's the story behind this single?
So I actually had been really, really sick about the time my last single came out, High Horse. So I wanted to get a new song out quick, but I had ended up being in the hospital, like super, super sick. And so I wasn't able to get another write set up until like the end of May. And so I sat down and I I was kind of jarred after being so sick
Hmm.
because it it was like a scary experience for me, and I was really like in my feelings and like I'm just so thankful to be here. And so I sat down and I was just telling my producer and our co-writer that was there, they were like, are you, like, how's life? How's your boyfriend?
Mm.
Like I didn't
Yeah.
have anything to like, things were going good.
Hmm.
And so, but they were like, well, like, what do you want to write about? And so I started telling them about my family and my town that I grew up in Georgia. And so um I started telling them that my grandma owned a business in our little town of 600 people, and that my grandpa, he was like an auctioneer in the area. And so I just started telling my story basically of how I the town I lived in, my ancestors started a college, which is called
Okay.
Reinhardt College.
Oh, wow.
So, and so that's in the song. And it's just telling my story of how I found my fate in my childhood home, how I really just grew up, and how that made me who I am today.
Amazing. Well,
Thank you.
I remember seeing I think it was Instagram, possibly about you being really sick, and I'm glad you're here and hopefully 100% better.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm getting there. I'm slowly getting my energy back, but I'm about 4 months out now, so I'm feeling much better now.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
So,
Because I think that was right. I started following you about 5, 6 months ago,
yes.
and so it would Instagram's interesting because it's like I get all these feeds constantly, and I just remember seeing something about you being out sick, and
Yes.
yeah, so I'm glad things are on the going uphill now.
Thank you. Yes, I was supposed to go to Key West for the writers round, but I
Yep.
was in the ER earlier that week, so I couldn't really go to that.
Yeah,
So, but I'm luckily almost 100% better now. So,
that's good.
but that's kind of the train of thought I was in at that ride. I was like, I'm just so thankful that like I'm here and I'm thankful for my life. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
write about it.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah.
it was a quick turnaround then because it was like written, recorded in less than 4 months.
It was yeah, so we recorded it, I believe, the second week in July.
Mhm.
So, and then we did like the cover shoot
Yeah.
on like in the first week of July. So we were still able to get it together fairly quick, not as quick as I had hoped. I was hoping to like put out my last single, High Horse, and then like
Mm.
immediately like turn around
Yeah.
6 8 weeks later and then put this one out.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited for it to come out, and I don't care how long it takes for this one because it's a really special one to me.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
So looking kind of forward, are you looking at the next single? Are you kind of just gonna let this be what it is for a little bit? What's kind of the thought process moving forward?
I am thinking about recording a song that I already have written. Like
Mhm.
I've had it for about a year now. So I'm thinking about recording that one. But I've got a lot of big plans with this song. So I don't know how long it'll run with it. So like it comes out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how many months it'll be
Mhm.
advertised for with this. So I'll probably hopefully get one more out before the end of the year. But I'm I anticipate this one to be a little bit longer of a
Mm.
run just because we've got a lot of plans coming up with it. So,
That
yeah.
sounds that sounds amazing. It
Thank you.
almost feels like you're talking about like a music video or something. Like anytime somebody says big plans, that's
Thank
almost
you.
always what it is. So
So, yeah, I cannot wait. It'll be a great surprise.
yeah,
So,
no,
I'm excited.
nice.
But
Um, and then are you doing any support shows off of this release? Like, do you have any shows coming up or
I actually do. I am playing tomorrow night in Illinois,
okay.
right out of Chicago. It's called the Nash Vegas Saloon.
Mhm.
So we're me and my band are playing there tomorrow night as kind of it wasn't intended to be a release party, but in a way it is.
Yeah.
So I'm playing there tomorrow night and then I've got some more out of town shows like in September, October,
Yeah.
December, I think some in November also. So yeah, I kind of have a release party for this one. It's not an official one, but it just kind of ended up that way.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for it.
Nice. Now, have
So
you ever played in Chicago before? Or?
I have not. I've never even been to Chicago. So
Okay.
I'm excited.
So, as somebody from Chicago,
Hmm.
I'm from Chicago.
Oh, really?
You have to try. Like everybody's going to tell you to try the pizza. Of course, that's a no-brainer.
I think I should. I love pizza. So
Yeah. But the true hidden gem of Chicago is the Italian beef sandwiches.
really?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
I don't know how
I'll
long you're
definitely
staying there, but just give it a
I'll
shot.
definitely get one if we have time to stop.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping to have time to get some pizza because
Yeah.
we're leaving in the morning, driving straight up, playing, staying at a hotel,
Mm.
driving straight back. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping we'll have time to at least get some pizza there.
As somebody that's done that very similar trip, not from Nashville to Chicago, but I went to school in Southern Illinois. So
Okay.
tack on 2 hours and you're basically Nashville at that point. But,
Yeah,
you know, that is a haul. I feel your pain on that one.
I
So,
bet. Yeah.
um, so outside of music, what do you like to get into outside of music?
I like I usually I allot a lot of my time to my music,
Mhm.
but I like to I like to shop. I I don't like shopping for clothes a lot. I like shopping for little things
Mm.
like um decorations for my room, specifically Halloween decorations. That's
So
like
you're in your element right now as Halloween's starting to come in.
I am, yes. About as soon as August hits, I am immediately going to TJ Maxx, getting me some like Halloween nutcrackers. So yes, those are like, that's my favorite thing to shop for. It's like Halloween
Nice.
decorations, or I like candles a lot. I don't know why, but that's, that's probably like my favorite thing. I live near a shopping center, so it's just really like I can walk to a lot of stores I want. So it's
Nice.
nice. And I like getting out and like, you know, getting out. We have a trail nearby. So I just like doing things like that.
For sure,
But
for sure.
yeah,
Now I have to ask, how early did they start getting your Halloween candy out in Nashville?
I would say end of July.
Okay. That because
It's pretty
there,
early.
yeah, there's so I kind of live out like a little bit far outside. So I'm based in Waco, Texas, and I live a
Okay.
little bit outside of town. So it's like
Mhm.
if I need to go get something quick, I just go to the Dollar General because it's 2 minutes down the road. And they've
Mhm.
had Halloween candy out since after 4th of July.
Yes,
And it's like, guys, there's like 3 months before this even needs to be a thing right now.
I
Like, what are we
know.
doing? So,
Yeah. Yeah,
it,
I try to stock up early
yeah,
just to get some for me to eat.
right, right.
So, yeah,
It,
before they
so,
run out. So,
yep, absolutely. I completely agree. So,
yeah.
um, so other than that, where you got your show this weekend, on Friday,
Yeah.
uh, how far out are you scheduled with shows, or do you not try and schedule out too far?
I'm scheduled on and off until the end of the year.
Hmm.
So it's like, I would say 4, 5 weekends are full
Hmm.
until the end of the year now.
Yeah,
So I'm hoping to pick up more,
yeah,
but that's as far out as I'm scheduled now,
cool,
as is like Christmas time.
fair.
So,
That's about fair.
yeah,
That's about as far out as venues are booking, anyways. I tried to
true.
reach out to a venue about doing something in January. They're like, "Oh, we're not booking January yet," and I'm like, "What? Like,
Yeah,
you're not booking January yet?" Like, I don't know. It was
yeah.
weird to me. So, um, but one last thing I got to ask here because I don't want to keep you here too much longer. How'd your Instagram live wrap up the other day?
It was good. I've been trying to go live weekly and just share anything that's going on so my followers can kind of connect more and keep in touch. And so it was great. I ended up staying on there. I usually stay on there for about an hour.
Gotcha.
So, and just talk and really do
Yeah.
anything, just answer questions, or I was painting the other night on there. So, really anything.
Fair.
But yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining it.
Yeah. I jumped on, and then I made the comment I was like happy to excited to have you on, and then I think I caught you off guard or something because you were like kind of the answer you gave. I was like, oh crap, have I been talking to somebody else this entire time? And I had a
No. No, I'm so sorry. I was trying to read through all the
Mhm.
comments and I was trying to answer them quick so one wouldn't come up like
Yeah.
before another.
Mhm.
So, yes, I wasn't caught off guard, but I was trying to like process everybody's comments and I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. You
I
know.
had
So,
it was funny because it happened a couple of weeks ago. Somebody that I've had on the podcast uh, a whole bunch of times.
mhm.
They had a really busy chat, and I just kind of happened to jump in, and they said, "Hey, Live at Amplify, glad you're here." It's like, yeah, excited to have you on the podcast next week or whatever, and like,
Mhm.
yeah, let me know, and we'll get that squared away. And I'm like, what? We
That is
just
so funny.
it's like because I understand like you're in the heat of like a live stream, and so you're not 100% thinking about what was asked and
Yeah.
said. So it's like it's just very funny to me. So.
Yeah, that is funny. But
Um, but no, I'm glad you're doing well, and I'm glad Instagram Live went well. And
thank you so much.
I'm was really sad to hear about the when you got sick, and it's just like I waited because I'd been wanting to ask you to come on the podcast, and then I saw you got sick, and I was just like, okay, well, I'll wait till the next one. So,
Yes. Well, I'm sorry it took so long, but
no,
thank you so much for having me on today.
yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where I tend to get into my own head. It's like, wait, and it's like a self like doubt thing in my head. It's like, are they even going to be interested? Or just one of those things. So yeah,
No, of course. I anytime, just let me know. I'd love to do another
awesome.
interview. I was just not feeling good for a while.
Oh yeah.
So
I feel that. But
yeah.
I'm glad everything's turning out well.
Thank
Glad
you
you
so
got your
much.
new song out, and hopefully this one goes to the moon. I've been paying attention for a good little bit here, and I'm really excited to have had you on the podcast now. So
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you. Thank you so
yeah.
much for having me today.
Yep, absolutely. And then real quick, where could people find you online and all that fun stuff?
They can find me anywhere at Macartney Reinhardt Music, except TikTok. It's just under Macartney Reinhardt. And then on Apple, Spotify, it's also under Macartney Reinhardt. So, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, McCartney, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you all later.